What is good, yo? KipUp here, and here we are for World's Longest OU Tournament Week 3 against SS Speed. He was my opponent for this week. I didn't bring Week 2 because, unfortunately, me and my opponent, Haruno, couldn't really find the time to get our match in. So I think we were both given a loss. I know I was, at least. I'm not sure if he or she was. But anyway, we are on to Week 3. Looking at the teams here, Mega Mawile just came out. Absolute beast, something I was really afraid of. His whole team was very, very offensive. And one of the first things I noticed, because the Skarmory I have is dual hazards, is that he had no hazard control, which is super nice. But anyway, Greninja isn't too much of a threat if I keep Venusaur alive. His Lele was a threat to some degree. If I could get Garchomp clean in, then it was gone. It wasn't really a big deal. Torn T was a slight problem. Tornadus Therian was a problem because it could wear down my Venusaur. It can possibly kill my Skarmory if it had Heat Wave. Hurricane's super strong. Regenerator's really nice, and it could have HP Ice for my Garchomp. So that was a real problem. Only other real issue I foresaw was outside of Pheromosa, I had no real reliable way of killing Ferrothorn. Now looking at my team, I did use this team against Top Level Top Keck. Yet again, I will leave that game in the description. Really fun game. But just to go over the team just real quickly, I'm not going to go into detail. Z Snatch, Hoop Unbound, really fun, really strong. Spadef Mega Venusaur for Greninja and things, of that sort. Tapu Fini, standard defensive with a little bit of Spadef investment. Choice Scarf Pheromosa with a plus attack nature, but maximum investment in special attack. It's a really weird set, but it's one that's actually really fun and really useful. Skarmory, dual hazard, sturdy, that's about it. And Scarf Garchomp. So, going into the first game here, SS Speed let off with Pheromosa, which is obviously a really big problem for Garchomp because of the possibility of Ice Beam. So I just went directly onto Skarmory because I knew Skarmory could tank any hit. I don't tank that Ice Beam as well as I wanted to, but it's really dangerous for him to stay in, and him switching out shows me that he might be Specs or Scarf depending on, like what he wants to run. So that showed me that obviously he was choice in some way. I'm very free to get my rocks up because he has no hazard control, and I mean he didn't really have anything that could just straight up threaten Skarmory outside of Greninja and maybe HP Fire Tapu Lele. So that was what I did expect to come out. But regardless, I did get my my rocks up. I go into Finny here, assuming that he is not Protean. He goes with a U-turn. I don't see Life Orb, and I don't see Protean, which means he is most likely Choice Specs, like most Ash-Greninjas are, which is also really nice intel. So we do see two Pokemon that could possibly be Choice Locked, along with Tapu Lele, which has a chance to be Choice Locked as well. So at this point, he goes hard into Mawile, as I just go for... Oh wait, I didn't go for anything, I switched it in. I can't think, guys. I'm sorry. But anyway, he Mega Evolves and goes for, I'm not sure, because I actually outsped. He Play Roughs, there we are. He Play Roughs and does a ton to me. Now, the reason I don't really need Tapu Fini is because the only thing it checks is pretty much Greninja and Pheromosa. And, I mean, he won't get too many hazards up because my team is fairly well geared toward Ferrothorn, I guess. It looks like I have a lot of ways to kill it, and I really don't. But also, Tapu Fini only walled, like, Greninja and Pheromosa. Like, honestly, I could probably, if I played well, wall them myself. So, I was totally fine with letting this thing go. I just went for Nature's Madness repeatedly, just making sure this thing was nice and low. So now I can go into Scarf Garchomp. Garchomp outspeeds naturally anyway, but this was just a good play purely because I could just get an Earthquake off and kill it. The problem is, with this, is that he could switch out of an Earthquake into, say, Tornadus, and I would have to switch out because I was Scarf, revealing that I was Choice in some way. Luckily, he didn't. He went for the Sucker Punch, took some Rough Skin, and then Earthquake finished it off. So I actually don't show that I am Scarf yet. He goes into Pheromosa. Yet again, that makes me assume that he is Scarf. He goes for the Rapid Spin, likely expecting me to make the same play I did last time. I Earthquake, just because I also expected that. So he does just Rapid Spin, which is super nice because I get, a ton of damage off with the Earthquake along with the Rough Skin. So now he goes directly into Tornadus, and I'm assuming he was going to do that. So I go back on the Skarmory to get my rocks back up because I'll be honest, I didn't think he had hazard control because I rarely see Pheromosa use that, much less Scarf. But now that I know that it dies on the next switch in, I really want to get my rocks up. So he Heat Waves with this Tornadus. Darn near kills me, but I get my rocks up. At this point, Skarmory's dead weight, so I can just drop it here. And I bring out Pheromosa, Scarf Pheromosa. Ice Beam, I think O-Code. I believe it O-Code if I did the calc right. If it was AV, I don't think it did, but it got darn near it. But anyway, he goes into his own Pheromosa, sacking it. I went for the U-turn, and he goes into Ferrothorn. Now this is kind of weird. He protects, I guess, seeing if I was choiced or not. And then immediately after this, he took so much time picking his next play. But I just get my U-turn off, and I go directly into Venusaur. So then he couldn't like Leech Seed, Gyro Ball, and do a lot to me. So at this point, he switches out, probably assuming that I am HP Fire Mega Venusaur, whereas I am not. I go for the Leech Seed, assuming that he would go Tornadus. The better play would have been to Sludge Bomb, but the Leech Seed is kind of nice as well. He Hurricanes, and the reason I stayed in on this is because Max Bidef tanks anything it really wants to when it comes to Mega Venusaur. Like a Stab Hurricane from a Tornadus did less than half. So, I mean, I knew I could live that, and honestly, at this point, it doesn't look like his Greninja can really beat me. So, I just stayed in, and I just Sludge Bomb. I crit, and then I Poison. So, my opponent was not very happy with this, because he probably could have kept his Tornadus there. So, he goes out into his Taboo Lele. At this point, I go out into Hoopa, because I can absolutely just, sack this thing off. And this is great, because he Psyshocks. So, if he's choiced, then he switches out. So I get a ton of intel. If he stays in, then obviously I outspeed it with Pheromosa and everything. So the game is basically over. Basically depending on whatever play he goes for. With Psychic Train up as well, he can't really kill Pheromosa reliably. So I find out that he is choice as I go for, instead of Z Snatch, I go for Black Hole Eclipse, knowing that the Ferrothorn was right there. Really didn't want to deal with it. So now, just to make sure I hit and kill, I go for Hyperspace Fury. So the Ferrothorn is gone. The game is more or less over at this point. I can absolutely let Greninja kill me. What I wasn't noticing was that Psychic Train was almost gone. So I thought, hey, I could possibly lose here. But then I realized Venusaur is nice and healthy. So I Earthquake here. And as he brings in his Greninja, I am free to just stay in. Water Shuriken did a lot more than I thought it would. So, I mean, I lose Garchomp. I bring out Pheromosa just to make sure that it was absolutely Specs as opposed to like Water Plate or Splash Plate or something like that. So Pheromosa's gone, and now here comes Venusaur. Water Shuriken does a lot. And the reason, by the way, the reason I went to Pheromosa, I know it sounds stupid, but the calcs for Splash Plate and Specs are slightly different. So that actually gave me intel, because I wasn't checking that on the Garchomp. I know it sounds dumb, but that's pretty much exactly what I did. He Water Shurikens obviously won't kill the Venusaur, and I can Giga Drain and win the game because he is Specs. Now, because I hacked out my opponent so bad, I agreed to do a best of 3. So we consider this basically 1-0 at this point. I won 1 game, he wins 1 game. So on to game 2, looking at his team, I was expecting like semi-Trick Room due to the Magearna, the Alolan Marowak, the Mimikyu, and the Metagross. I just thought, this has a really high chance of being semi-Trick Room, with the only setters being like Magearna and possibly the Mimikyu. Team I brought was the Bulu-Tran team that Shay and I built. Just to go through it real quick, because, this is another game, so more time in the video. This is AV Bulu, super strong. Choice Band, Diggersby. Z Grass Heatran with Stealth Rock, Specs Keldeo, Life Orb, Special Tapu Koko, and Standard Life Orb Latios. So anyway, I lead off with the Latios because I realized very quickly that Latios does borderline nothing this game. And he leads with his Mamoswine. I go for the Psyshock to break the Sash, as he goes for the Icicle Crash and actually misses. So he also wasn't very happy with that, because immediately after a crit Sludge Bomb that poisoned and killed his Tornadus, he misses Icicle Crash that would have killed my Latios. So that was really unfortunate for him, and I felt really bad. Like, I actually really felt like I hacked this guy out. But anyway, he Ice Shards, kills my Latios based off the Life Orb damage as I kill Mamoswine, which means I have a very high possibility of there being no rocks on my side. This is because Alola Marowak is his other rocker, as is Metagross. But if he leaves Mamoswine, it was likely Suicide Lead. So obviously that means I likely don't have to deal with hazards anymore. Which is pretty nice considering I just lost my hazard setter. I go Diggersby here, thinking that it covers basically everything he wants to go for. If he went to Latios, I had a slight problem because he had a chance A, to kill me with a Surf, or B, he could switch out into something to not even be affected by my returns. I couldn't Earthquake because it's a Latios in front of me, and U-turn would do nothing if he went to Magearna or Metagross. So I was actually really lucky he went to Mimikyu. He Swords Dances here as I U-turn and break his Disguise. That was basically the only goal. I go directly out into Heatran. Heatran was a questionable play. Immediately after I made it, I was wondering why I did it. Because honestly, I could have gone into, say, Tapu Koko or even Keldeo and tanked any hit comfortably and not risk my rocker. But because I just risked my rocker out, I have to make sure to hit it. I have to, just make sure it doesn't run amok on my team. So I more or less forego hazards on a team that isn't terribly affected by it, but it would have been nice to go a bit of chip damage. He Shadow Claws does a lot to me. He is Life Orb, as I Lava Plume and unfortunately crit him. Oh my goodness, I hacked this guy out. He wasn't too happy about that either. I mean, this guy's a really nice guy, but I felt so bad about all this. Like, I literally said in the chat, like, I'm so sorry. Like, I hate myself. Like, I hate doing this to you. But I mean, I can't control it, and I'm not gonna forfeit a game for a tournament, because basically the whole point is A, to win, and B, to learn. So I'm not gonna just, cheat myself or cheat him out of a learning experience. So I stayed in, obviously. Goes on to Metagross. No reason for me to keep Heatran, so I just sacked it off. I go into Tapu Koko here, and I want chip damage. He can Bullet Punch if he wants, but I just want chip damage with the Volt Switch. He actually ended up going for the Meteor Mash here as I go hard into Bulu. So Bulu would have taken about 17 trillion from this hit, but he misses, which it just sucks. I felt really bad about it. He Meteor Mashes here, gets a 100% kill. I was thinking he may or may not switch. I wasn't sure because I had a chance to be like Scarf or Z-move all at pummeling. But I go into Keldeo here, and I tried to bluff Scarf, but he saw right through it apparently. I hardly lived the Thunder Punch. Super nice though, because I do kill the Mega Metagross, which ran through my team. And now he goes Magearna. I don't really have another play, so I just Surf, do a lot to it. And he Shift Gears. And this is an issue because that means this game is over. The reason it's over is because Keldeo doesn't live any hit from here. Magearna outspeeds my Tapu Koko, so there's no way that I can revenge. Even if I could revenge, he had what I would only assume to be Spidef, Thick Club, Marowak to take on my Tapu Koko, and then from there, even if I did get to that point, Diggersby did nothing to any of his mons because he was choice locked, so I could only click U-turn and pray that somehow killed everything. So the game is over right here, right? And he has leftovers. Actually, he didn't have leftovers. Grassy Terrain. So he can just Thunderbolt. He gets his Soul Heart. We're gonna go to the next turn here. Z move, Corkscrew crashes Diggersby. Anything would have killed. I think a Flash Cannon murdered me anyway. But he gets his Soul Heart there, and that is the game. That is quite the game. So we're going on to game 3 here, and I'm actually really feeling pressure here because I'm like, I could have just stopped after the first game, but here we are on to game 3, and this is a team. When I actually did my homework on this guy, that's cool too. I did my homework. When I was looking at his replays, I saw this team pop up a lot, and I created a team designed to counter it, but I didn't run it through anybody. So honestly, I was like, do I really want to use this team because I'm not sure if it'll actually perform how I want it to. So instead, I used Jake's team using a new Mega Mawile. I'll also be using a live with this team, or a live using this team. There we are. But anyway, basically, Thunder Punch, Fire Fang, Mawile, obviously Mega Mawile, Rocky Helmet, Defensive Lando, AV Nihilego, which is interesting. Also AV Tangrowth, Scarf Dugtrio, and then Spike setting, what's its name? What is its name? Toxapex. My goodness, I'm sorry guys. So anyway, turn 1, I know that his Excadrill is Sash, and I don't want to deal with it more than I really have to. So I go Dougie. I think Dougie was very important in this game, which is why I started off with it. Very free to get his rocks up, but he can't switch out, so I can just Earthquake and kill his Excadrill. Down to 5-6. I switch out of this because I didn't want to lose Dougie quite that fast. As he Water Shurikens, does borderline nothing to Toxapex. It does show him, however, that I am not especially defensive. I get my T-Spikes up for the rest of his team, because again, he didn't have Hazard Control unless his Pheromosa was Rapid Spin. D-dances with his Gyarados. This is a big problem, and I thought he'd switch out, fearing something like a Stone Edge, but he does not, as I get my rocks up. I just switch out now, and I go into my Toxapex because it has Haze, and I'm thinking, you know, I could live like any one hit from this thing, I think. So that's the reason I did this. As he goes for Supersonic Sky Strike. I knew this thing was Supersonic Sky Strike. I knew it was Moxie, I knew it was +1. I didn't do my calcs because I thought, you know, Toxapex lives. And unfortunately, it did not live. So all of a sudden it looks like I'm about to get 5-0'd by this Gyarados. And my last chance to really do anything was in the form of Mawile. So I go Mawile here, I'm forcing Mega Evolve. I'm not going to Sucker Punch because I know it won't kill. Waterfall does not flinch and I live it, which is incredible. I did not expect to live this. I should have calced it yet again. I definitely should have calced it. But I did not expect to live. Thunder Punch picks off the Gyarados that would have swept me otherwise. So that is absolutely fantastic. He goes into Greninja. There's no reason for me to keep Mawile. I had no Hazard Control either, so I can't switch it back in. So let's go for a Sucker Punch and get 40 off. The Poison's going to be racking a little bit of damage. I know he is Specs also yet again because of no Life Orb. So I can go into Dugtrio and I can just click Earthquake and get rid of his Greninja too. Another Mon that definitely threatened my team. So that is very, very nice. At this point, I don't know what he really wants to do. He goes Garchomp here, and I'm thinking, is Dugtrio important? I honestly was unsure how useful Dugtrio was. I did switch it out just in case I could find a use for it, as he outrages and does a fair amount of Tangrowth. So actually, I saw that damage, and I was like, I could definitely keep Tangrowth alive to deal with the Garchomp later. So I just go on to Lando, assuming that Intimidate would actually like help me. LOL, it didn't. Definitely not. It did not help me in any way. But he does get confused, which is super nice. Garchomp is gone here because he doesn't break out of confusion, and I can HP Ice. Man, I feel like I was hacking this guy. But, I mean, that makes sense. So that wasn't really hacks. That was just like the way things go. In comes the Bisharp. Unless he's running a slow Bisharp, he outspeeds me for sure. There's no reason for me to do anything but stay in, honestly. So that is exactly what I do. He knocks off. Rocky Helmet comes into effect. And he's also Life Orb, which is nice because I'm doing my calcs. I'm going through everything. And Tangrowth actually does a lot with HP Fire. It's a roll. Wait, it was either HP Fire or Earthquake, but it was a roll to kill. So then plus Life Orb, if I got the max roll plus Life Orb, he lost. Like, he lost his Bisharp, and then I think Scarf Dougie just came in and won. But anyway, I bring in Tangrowth. He knocks off. Does about what I expected it to. I HP Fire, and I get the lowest possible roll. The lowest possible roll is 49.7. So I'm actually kind of sweating here, because I'm like, oh gosh, here comes the Pheromosa. Even if it like, this thing will die to Life Orb or me clicking HP Fire again. But I'm like, oh god, here we go. Like, Pheromosa's coming in, I'm gonna lose. He Iron Heads, loses Bisharp. Pheromosa comes in, right? Pheromosa comes in. I go Dougie. I'm kind of praying this thing isn't physical Scarf. Like, that's my only hope at this point. He's not Scarf. Earthquake doesn't kill. I'm actually glad I went for Earthquake, though, because I was guaranteed damage. I stand by my play on that. Because if I missed Stone Edge, my game was definitely lost. So I'm fine by that. He Ice Beams, and he actually gets the special attack boost, which is super interesting. Because now I'm thinking, I have AV Nihilego here. and he may or may not be locked in on Ice Beam. So if I live this hit, this game is over. So that is exactly it. I go in. He asked if I was Scarf. I didn't want to give away anything in case he had like high jump kick or something. He focus blasts and does a trillion to me, as in I think a crit would have killed. He does not crit. I free to power gem. Good game. So I do actually win our little series 2-1. Yet again, it didn't have to be a series. I just felt like I hacked him out so bad the first game that I really want to give him the opportunity to, to actually play a hacks-free game. In all honesty, this was the first and only game that I think was entirely hacks-free between us. But I mean, good game to SS Speed. We're now 2-1 in the world's longest OU tournament. I'm having a lot of fun. I'm not sure if I brought my OU circuit replay yet, but if I haven't, I will bring that as soon as possible. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more. You guys will see this team in a live soon. I'll also be having Bad Team of the Day with Shay coming up as soon as possible. But yeah, like, comment, and subscribe for more. I know this video was probably longer than usual for just a couple replays. But I mean, I had a lot of fun, and I hope you guys had fun listening to my commentary and me, talking about my plays. And I'll talk to you guys soon.